Huh? 1, 2, 3, 4. Huh? 1, 2.
This week on the Union of Muscles podcast, I'll be speaking with Shawn Mcdaniel of the Emory and Henry College men's basketball team, the Wasps. Today, we'll find out how Shawn took his high school bullies to the hoop and how he has taken it upon himself to learn how to lift strong and prosper.
This is Shawn McDaniel, Union and Muscle, live long and prosper.
Levanta fuertemente y prospera.
I prosperować.
The views presented here may or may not be those of the host, guest, Union of Muscle, Black Hat Management, or its affiliates. Any information in this podcast should first be reviewed by the corresponding professional, whether that's medical, financial, or legal, before applying it to your life.
Hey, all you beautiful fitness freaks, geeks, and athletes, I just want to give you a quick heads up. I am going to be making a guest appearance on another podcast, Robot Overlords. That's Overlords with a Z at the end and not an S. You can find them on iTunes or at robotoverlords.fm.
I want to thank all you beautiful fitness freaks, geeks, and athletes for going to www.unionofmuscle.com and clicking on the Patrons tab. There, you are able to sign up as a patron. As a patron, you get access to commercial-free episodes of the Union of Muscle podcast. Additionally, you get additional ways to earn fit coins. You're assigned a Union of Muscles coach who's going to help you stay accountable to your own personal fitness goals. If you haven't signed up as a patron to the podcast and to the Union of Muscle, go ahead and do so now. Just head over to www.unionofmuscle.com and click on the Patrons tab. And remember to lift strong and prosper. You're listening to the Union of Muscle podcast, where muscle meets information and inspiration.
I'm here with Shawn McDaniel. Shawn, why don't you go ahead and introduce yourself?
Hi, I'm Shawn McDaniel. I'm from Salem, Virginia. I went to Salem High School, and I played basketball at Emory and Henry College.
Have you always been playing basketball? Is that kind of your main thing?
I started playing in middle school just for fun, and I had some kind of older kids kind of talk down to me and tell me I wasn't good, so I kind of used that as fuel, and I said, I don't know, it's kind of like a challenge, just because, like, you know, I'm going to get better, and I'm going to get better than them. I'm going to show them I can play this game, and I just kind of kept working at it as that, and then things just kind of fell into place.
So these guys were kind of being a bully. They were making fun of you, making you feel bad, telling you had no game, but that spurred in you the desire to prove them wrong.
Yeah, I guess you could say that, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, as long as it doesn't turn physical, a little bit of teasing can change somebody's life, and sometimes in a good way. Sometimes if it's controlled, it doesn't become too abusive. Sometimes we need a good kind of social kick in the pants to help us move forward. There's all this talk about bullying, and yeah, it can get to the point where it's really bad. I mean, I saw it in high school. I even saw it at Salem High School. I went to Salem High School. I remember one time we were up. They still have that field up on the hill behind the high school. Yeah.
Field. Yeah.
So we were on that field, and I think we were playing. Flag football up there with the gym coach. I can't remember the gym coach's name, but I wouldn't want to call him out anyways. But we're sitting around, and they've got like some of the jocks are sitting there that happen to be in our class on the sidelines there with like the weakest, most pitiful specimen of a young man as far as strength goes. You know, he was just scrawny and awkward, poor guy, and they were picking on him. They were actually picking him up and power driving his head into the ground. And I looked at this, and I looked at the coach, and I looked back at them, and I looked at the coach, and I went over to the coach, and I said, "Hey, coach, maybe you should do something over here." And the coach acted like I wasn't even tugging on his shirt, like I wasn't even there. I'm like, I pull hard, coach, nothing. Like I can tell he knows what's going on, but he doesn't want to deal with it. He's too scared to deal with it or whatever. Confrontations in between the student and teacher like that want things to get physical. So I go over there, just another student, and I talk to the bigger students than me. I say, what do you think you're doing? I don't think you realize what you think you're doing right now. Yeah, it might be fun messing with this kid, but now he's got a nosebleed. His vision's starting to blur. And if you cause brain damage, you could end up in jail. You could end up in jail for assault, and if you did permanent damage on this guy, it could be even worse. You could ruin your whole life by doing this. So I'm not coming over here to start trouble. I'm coming over here to help you out, to keep you from hurting yourself in the future and from hurting this kid right now. And that stopped the altercation, but I had to step up. In that instance, like, it was a big boost for my ego because I could step up to where I thought a teacher didn't. But then again, that was too far. That was too far when the kid's nose started bleeding because they were power driving his head into the ground. Have you seen other instances of bullying that affected your life?
Yeah, in a way, yes. I mean, that's kind of why I started the whole weightlifting thing. Once I started playing basketball, I started, my skills started to develop and everything, but then I'd still kind of get pushed around because some kids are older than me and just naturally stronger than me. They didn't even live, but they were just, just more mature. So I kind of just used that like I did, them taunting me. I was like, well, you know what? I watch TV, I see all these, kind of built people like Blake Griffin and the Dwight Howards and the LeBron James, they're great athletes, but they're also, work on their body. So I said, I'm going to go ahead and just add that into it and see what happens. And then it's funny because you see these guys a few years later and, they used to beat up on you and now you're beating up on them and you actually are doing something with it. So it's karma in a way, but it's kind of funny,
Yeah. Yeah, no, you've got some great muscle development. How long have you been lifting now?
I started my sophomore year of high school, so I'm about to be technically a junior. So, I don't know, 3 or 4 years now, not too terribly long.
Man, you've got some real good muscular development, so you must be hitting it pretty good. I mean, I see you in there almost every day. So if you've been doing that for the last, 4 years, especially at your age when there's still a lot of that young testosterone already in you, naturally, you're doing well. You're doing well for yourself. You should be proud.
I appreciate it. Yeah, I've gotten to the point where, I don't know, I'm kind of just obsessed with it. At first I was just doing it to, build muscle, but now I'm just like, I love it. Like, I look forward to that part of the day.
Awesome. Yeah, no, I feel the same way. Now, I think you and I were in the gym when we had some, we won't say the name of the league or anything, we had some amateur baseball players come in. I believe they were an amateur league.
Yeah, you're right.
And we saw these guys and we were commenting, like, their form was bad. They weren't lifting with any kind of intensity in there, and yet you're at least on a team. I'm not. I'm just some average schmo over there. I'm probably, I'm probably got a few years on some of those guys even. And still, they're supposed to be professional athletes, but they don't know their way around the weight room.
Yeah, and you couldn't even, some of them compared to some of the people in there, you couldn't tell. You had to pick which one. If you asked someone which one of these guys looks like a professional amateur athlete, you wouldn't pick them because they didn't really have any development going on in them. What I could tell, not even one. I didn't see even one that stood out really.
Yeah, maybe there's a kickback. I don't know. Maybe there's the whole steroid kickback, and so everyone wants to look scrawny now, so that way nobody ever suspects they're on steroids. But if they look scrawny, they're probably not even, they're most likely not juicing, which is probably a good thing. But then again, they don't have any muscle development to help them. Maybe you just don't need any muscular development for that sport. I mean, I don't know. I think you can. Barry Bonds, he was the one they, had accused of juiced up, and he was looking buff. He was looking ripped out there.
Yeah.
I don't know. I think you want more than just someone who can swing a bat good or dunk well. You want them to also be a symbol of health. A symbol of health and strength. Because that's almost part of why you're going to buy tickets. It's why you want your kids to go. That's why you want them to get involved in sports, is because you want them to have something that drives them to live a healthy lifestyle.
You want to see that larger-than-life figure that they're made out to be,
Have you learned a few things along the way with working out?
Absolutely. Just like in life, you have to really, to get anywhere, to succeed succeed, you have to have a great work ethic, and that's what Willis was talking taught me. Started out, I was 6 foot, not even 100 pounds, and now I'm 6'4", almost 220. People think, oh, you don't have the genetics to do all this nonsense. To me, that's BS. If you truly want to look, you don't have to be a bodybuilder big, because you can't get that big naturally, but you can add size just by busting your ass. You really can,
I like that's why they came out with, I think, the physique. Instead of just bodybuilding, now guys can compete in what they call men's physique. Some of them make fun of it, some of them call it men's bikini, but let's be honest, there's a chance that you could compete on a physique stage without getting involved in steroids, with being it natural. The bodybuilding side, unless you're just one of these genetic anomalies where you have an overproduction of natural testosterone, it's going to be hard for you to get to those bodybuilding size. But you're absolutely right. I've been working out since I was very young as far as doing push-ups and sit-ups. I got into the gym about 12 years ago. But for my whole life, I knew I wasn't going to be the tallest one on the field, but I didn't want to be the scrawniest. Like, that was growing up, that was my thing. I was going to work out and make sure I had more muscle tone and development than all my other students. Now there were some athletes I didn't hang around too much who definitely had more muscle than I did, but they had access to the team gym, and I was stuck at home trying to figure out how to make some dumbbells.
Gotta do what you gotta do,
Yeah. Now, with all that muscle, are you seeing that it's helping you as an athlete, or it's hindering you in any way?
Well, in high school, when I was really starting to get serious, I put on a lot of mass at the beginning. I wanted to be huge. I didn't know too much about it. Didn't really know the anatomy of the body. I was just lifting the lifts. I saw guys and I was like, I don't look like that. I want to be huge. So I had a nice amount of mass for my age at one point, and I felt slow. I don't think it hindered me to the point where I was like, okay, well, I can't play. But I definitely felt slower. So now I'm kind of just trying to get that lean, but still be strong. I've told you this before. I want the white physique, the large shoulders, but then you're not too big, but you're still, you stand out.
In a sports career, I would think that would help you. Maybe you're not even the best player, but people have their eyes on you all right away because they're saying, wow, look at that guy's physique. He's looking strong, he's looking good. And then you go out there and you do well, and someone might do just a little bit better than you, or might do just as well than you, but they might not notice them as much. So I think it could be very beneficial to a career in sports. I found a few drawbacks to gaining muscle. At some point, I couldn't sleep on my side anymore because my head would fall too far. Because my shoulder is on the side and it's propping up the rest of my body. So as my shoulders have gotten wider, my head has a longer way to go to the pillow. So unless I wanted to buy a whole bunch of fluffy pillows, I can't sleep on my side anymore because it puts a crink in my neck.
I agree. I've had that same problem.
And then recently, I had a pullover sweater or shirt, and I pulled it up over my head, and then at some point I couldn't get it over my lats, but my hands are already stuck up in the sweater, so I was kind of panicking a little bit because I couldn't get my hands out of this thing to help me get it over, and I was wondering, how long am I going to be stuck like this? Do I have to find somebody to help me out of my own sweater? Because my lats had flared out so much and shoulders widened that, it's just hard to get this thing pulled up over my head. But yeah, these are little problems. I think these are good problems. If it means that I'm strong, I'm healthy, and I'm looking good, I'm okay with those kind of problems. I just buy something with a zipper. So you were feeling slow in high school when you were getting a little bit bigger. Was that mass that you had put on, was that mostly muscle, or was some of that fat that you were able to then kind of burn off?
In middle school, I was short and I was kind of chubby, and then I'd say around sophomore year I shot up and I just got tall and skinny. And so I'd say I'd say I didn't have much body fat, but I just started putting, I'd say most of it was muscle. I'm sure I still had a little bit of fat, but once I got tall, that really helped me out, I think.
Wow, yeah, so if we have some moms listening, and maybe some of the kids listening who were or know that shorter, chunky kid in middle school, they could turn out to grow up and be on the basketball team, and then get on the college team, and build some good-looking muscle. So they might feel awkward and dorky in middle school, but that can all change. But I think that's a big key that you put in there, was that you made a decision to go to work. You didn't have anyone else telling you, hey, son, if you want to have a good physique, you need to get into the gym every day. Or did you?
No, I didn't. I just kind of started experimenting with it, and I said, there's only one way to get it, and it's just hard work. I always watched these YouTube videos and motivational. I wasn't watching it to get motivated. I was just watching it to, see different exercises. But while I was watching, I was like, well, these guys are intense. They have that crazy kind of death metal type thing in the back. It's just it's intense. And it's like, wow, these guys, they work really hard, and they look like they do. So I was like, well, if I want it, I need to have that level of intensity every time I go in there. I can't have anybody else tell me to do it. I have to want it myself, because if I don't want it, then it's not going to happen.
Man, that plays so well to everybody who wants to get into fitness, is that desire for intensity in your workouts has to kind of come from within you. No pre-workout, no anything else is going to give that directly to you. Yeah, the YouTube videos can help. This podcast can help you get revved up and juiced up to go in there and work out with intensity, but you have to want it. You can't go in there going, oh, well, I might listen to this podcast or watch a YouTube video and, that's good for them, but not for me. If you go in with that attitude that it's not for you and you're getting forced into it because one reason or another, it's not going to work out for you. But I love the intensity. I love that desire, that drive to go in there and be intense. I wish that I could be more intense and feel comfortable at the gym. Sometimes I think I get a little bit too intense for the people around me.
I think everybody does that if you're really serious about it, but it's the gym,
Yeah.
That's what it's there for. You pay a membership together. If you're not doing anything to hurt anybody or really annoy anybody or throwing weights at people, then that's what you're there for. It's like, what is it, at Planet Fitness, they show those commercials where if you grunt too loud or something, they'll kick you out. See, to me, that's ridiculous. That's not even a gym.
Would you like to lose 10, 20, 50, or 60 pounds and still eat those carbohydrates? Coach Bob LeMaine, the carb loading king, can get you trim, fit, and full of muscle while still eating those carbohydrates. So go to www.unionofmuscle.com and click on the Fitness Coaches tab and find Coach Bob LeMaine. And remember to lift strong and prosper. I want to thank all you beautiful fitness freaks, geeks, and athletes for going to www.unionofmuscle.com and clicking on the Patrons tab. There, you are able to sign up as a patron. As a patron, you get access to commercial-free episodes of the Union of Muscle podcast. Additionally, you get additional ways to earn fit coins. You're assigned a Union of Muscles coach who's going to help you stay accountable to your own personal fitness goals. If you haven't signed up as a patron to the podcast and to the Union of Muscle, go ahead and do so now. Just head over to www.unionofmuscle.com and click on the Patrons tab. And remember to lift strong and prosper. Don't forget to like, subscribe, share, and comment. You're listening to the Union of Muscle podcast, where muscle meets information and inspiration.
Planet Fitness, they show those commercials where if you grunt too loud or something, they'll kick you out. See, to me, that's ridiculous. That's not even a gym.
No, it's like a cardio studio. I think it really is just a cardio studio. It's where you want to go if you want to get some cardio. There's some light weights there. I know there's guys who are at Planet Fitness and they're working out and they're just doing a lot of high reps and they do the highest weight that they have there. there's really no deadlifting. They have everything on the Smith machines, so you can kind of deadlift on a Smith machine, but there's no barbells usually for you to do anything on. I think it's mostly Smith machines. They may have some bench press in there, but they're not going to let you deadlift.
Yeah, I've never been in a Planet Fitness, but just all the commercials I've seen and what I've heard about it, I don't even think I'd step foot in there. It doesn't seem like a place where I'd be wanted, so I just refrain from that period.
Yeah, I think it's good for those people who maybe are intimidated by muscle. If they're super intimidated by people with muscle and they want to get started. They want to get started doing some cardio. I think the real thing going into Planet Fitness is you need to realize it's not really a gym. It's a cardio sauna, it's like a cardio sauna because they got sauna in there. They got the cardio cinema in there so you can watch movies while you're on your treadmill. So they do a lot. I think they do a lot for those people who aren't really into lifting weights. And this is the thing I think people miss out on if you stay in a place that's all about cardio, is that you need the muscle to help burn fat even when you're not working out. If you're really serious about getting tight, getting lean, getting thin, getting fit, that lean muscle, that lean look is only going to come if you tack on enough muscle to burn while you're away from the gym. Because if you have that muscle takes more energy. Muscle takes more energy to sustain than fat. So the more muscle you can have underneath those layers of fat you're trying to burn off, the faster you're actually going to burn off that fat. You might gain some mass in the beginning, but once you've established some of that muscle, the fat's going to burn that much quicker because now that mass that you're carrying around has more muscle in it than it did before. And it's going to just start eating that fat away so it can maintain the muscle.
It's a little funny to me that people are intimidated by muscle because everybody has to start from somewhere, people don't come out of the womb and 22-inch biceps, that just doesn't happen. So I think Planet Fitness should allow, more, intense people in there, because when I go to the gym and I see people that are bigger than me, I'm not intimidated by it. That makes me want to work harder, talk to them and ask them, how did you get where you're at? That motivates me, I think. It doesn't intimidate me. It makes me want to work harder and get to that point,
I think that's kind of the next step if somebody is kind of getting over where they're at in life. If they're getting over the fact that they've been working out and no results are happening, that's probably a good reason that they're not lifting as much as they should, and they're not getting intense. And I do the same thing. I remember I was in Ohio. I was in Ohio visiting Ohio, and I went into a gym. I got this it was like a 3-month membership, and because I was going to be there for a few, and I went into the gym, and there was just this huge dude, and he was working out near me, and I said, hey, am I doing this right? I wanted his feedback. He's like, well, you could straighten your arm a little bit more. You want that. I think I was doing some flies. I was doing some flies on a cable machine. Huge guy. And I was like, oh, am I doing this good? Is there any way I can improve on how I'm doing this in order to maximize my movement? That's always the question I'm asking myself, if not somebody else. Is there some way I could be doing this exercise better to maximize its benefit to me? So I asked this of him, and he says, why don't you straighten your arms out a little bit more? Because he says, really what you want is you got to kind of pretend that your pec is a hinge. And that's where all the movement is coming from. And keeping that arm maybe just a little bit straighter. Apparently, I don't know what I don't know what I was doing at that point, but that's what he told me. So you want to think that your pec is a hinge, and that it's the pec that's moving the rest of the arm that the cable happens to be attached to through the movement. So I picked up something new from talking with the big guy, and he was real nice. He was super nice. Wasn't intimidating at all. I think there are a few guys, though, I've met who try to be intimidating because that's why they want muscle. They want muscle to be intimidating to other people. I have a hard time getting along with some of those guys because I'm not going to be intimidated by them just because they are taller than me or seemingly a little bit stronger than me. You know, I'm not going to get intimidated by that. But I think there are a few here and there who want others to be intimidated by them because of their muscle for their own insecurities.
Yeah, absolutely.
People don't want to be intimidated by somebody else in the gym. What are some of the things they can tell themselves?
As I said earlier, everybody has to start from somewhere. I'm sure that huge guy that you've seen in the gym, at one point you can look back and see that he had a little pixie stick body at one point too, and that's okay. Some people don't live that lifestyle, and that's perfectly fine. Some people just don't get into it like that. But if you are skinny and you do want muscle, you have to realize that it's not just going to happen. You can't just drink muscle milk and expect to get muscle without working out. Like, you have to work for it, and it might take you a little bit. But like I said, you have to just understand. You have to start from somewhere, and it's a process. That's how you have to go about it. The harder you work, you should see results at some point if you truly are putting in the time.
Definitely. I totally agree. I like how you said the muscle milk. I've had that stuff. I never liked it. And if you look at the label, at least the ones that I was drinking at the time, maybe their formulas changed. But the one I tried wasn't the best of a protein shake as far as the ingredients go. Do you take any supplements or anything like that? Any protein shakes?
I don't drink any protein. I don't really do the shake thing. I've tried it before, but as of right now, I'm not really taking anything. One of my friends, his father, he worked at a GNC a while back, and he got me hooked on this stuff. It's called Arsenal. It's like a pre-workout, but it's also like a fat burner type thing. It cuts your fat but keeps your muscle. And like we talked about earlier, I want to get to like 9% body fat if I can. I think I'm around like 10, 11 right now. And I just want to have that cut up, lean muscle with a little bit of mass. I don't want to be overly huge because that would affect me in my sport. I don't want to be built like a Dwayne Johnson. Well, I do. I would like to look like that. But you know what I mean? I don't want to be just so stocky and so built that I can't even move. I still want to have some movement, but I also want to, in a way, intimidate the other team. Like, dang,
sure.
That's a big dude. I'm gonna have a hard time guarding him. Like, I'm not gonna push him out of the thing. Like, I want that. I don't want to be an extreme huge to where I can't even move or touch my back.
Right. I have a hard time touching all of my back, but I'm okay with it. I totally agree. So I've gotten down, I think I talked about it on the show, was last time I did a really good kind of bulk and cut. I got down to maybe 5.5% body fat. And I'm sure I've gotten down lower, it's just that's the only time I was actually measuring it. I was doing a combination of, and first, I need to say this for the audience. First, I got my diet right. First thing is to get your diet right. And that's where I was eating 5 to 6 times a day. So about every 3 hours, I was eating a good, healthy meal where there was my right portion of protein, my right portion of fruits or vegetables, and then I was allowing there to be an additional carbohydrate. So I got that right first. And then after that, I started weeding down the more intense carbohydrates for additional serving of fruits and vegetables because there's carbs in there. And that I didn't do for very long. That was just in preparation to begin intermittent fasting. And with that, I just slowly brought in my beginning time and my end time. So where I was eating the most of my calories, still eating the amount of calories, I still was eating those same number of meals, I just had to cut down the space in between. Right? So, it's intense. You don't do it for very long. But it's still a healthy way to bring down your body fat overall. And people who I know, who I've suggested this to, even women in their late 40s, early 50s, when they really get good at this, and you can call one of our coaches, they've told me, they feel their stomach and their body tightening up. They actually feel that happening. And that can happen when you do diet and exercise right. You can get shredded. But it does take some knowledge, it takes some know-how, and if you don't have it, you contact one of our coaches. Have you tried intermittent fasting or anything like that?
No, but now hearing you talk about it, I would definitely try it. I try to watch what I eat. Like I said earlier, I like to watch a lot of YouTube videos about stuff and try to gain some knowledge and put it to my routine and what I'm trying to do. But yeah, I'd definitely try it. I'm not much on skipping meals or fasting anyway. I love to eat, but I'd definitely give it a try. Yeah,
you're not skipping any meals. You're just changing the time frame in which you're eating those meals. So you're still eating the same amount of calories, but you just slowly. So after a while, I said, okay. First, what I usually did when I do intermittent fasting, what I'll do is I'll find a good time to stop eating first. I'll say, okay, normally, I'll just keep eating every 3 hours till I'm ready for bed, but I'm going to put my stop time at, say, 9 o'clock. And then I'll move it back to 8 o'clock. And 8 o'clock's about usually where I stop. I say, okay, after 8, I'm not going to eat anymore. And then I just bring up the morning time. Because it's almost easy to skip breakfast, so to speak. But you're not skipping it. You're just moving it in closer. So you do have to know that when you're going into intermittent fasting, you do need to make sure that you're capable of eating that food in the middle of the day, that you're able to actually run the process all the way through. If you intermittent fast and you're skipping meals, you're probably going to start going down the path of anorexia, bulimia, because you're going to start skipping meals and you're going to stop eating, and that's a very unhealthy way to do it. You're going to probably lose muscle mass along the way and everything. So yeah, it's not about restricting your calories. It's not about caloric restriction. You should be restricted on your calories during that time when you're learning how to eat right. That's when you get your diet right. That's your healthy, caloric restricted, so to speak, in that you're not eating garbage, right? Regular, normal diet. Get good at that. Bring down your time phrase. Then in the morning, you say, okay, I'm eating my first meal. I don't even call it breakfast anymore. I just call it my first meal. I'm eating my first meal at 6 a.m. Then I bring it to 7 a.m., then 8 a.m., and then I bring it to about noon, right? So noon, 12, 1 o'clock. So I've got 8 to 6 hours, depending on how that day's going, where I'm going to eat all the calories I normally would. And you have to get intense about that. You have to be purposeful about getting those calories in, or else you are going to start into the place where you're going to feel like you have a deficit. But once this happens, you go into a process called ketosis or ketogenesis. And once you get good at intermittent fasting, you'll feel it. You can almost taste it in your mouth. It's when your body converts from burning carbohydrates to burning fats. And once you've done it for a while, you can almost taste it. There's a sweetness that you can almost taste in your mouth as your body has switched over from being a carb burner to being a fat burner. And that's not going to happen until your body has depleted the carbohydrates that you have in your system. But intermittent fasting is a way in which it's not as hard to do, especially the way I recommend it, where you're boxing down the meal times, because you get used to it a lot easier that way. It's not as hard, and you don't even feel hungry. You really don't. That's the scariest part about it, is that when you get good at intermittent fasting, you don't even feel hungry. That's why you have to be dedicated to eating those calories. And that's why it can be dangerous if you're doing intermittent fasting without getting your diet right first. So I don't recommend intermittent fasting to anyone who doesn't know how to get their diet right first, where they're able to do the 6 meals a day, eating right, and able to stay away from ice cream and soda pops and whatever else. That should be a rare occasion. I had some on my birthday. That was it. It was a rare occasion. If you got your diet right, Shawn, trim it down, probably on the off season, so that way if you are getting a little bit weak from it at first, and I don't know how fast you'd have to take that, because I don't know what your time frames are during your off season, but you can shred up pretty good. I did not maintain that low body percent fat, but I'm pretty sure I'm still fairly low, and it becomes a lot easier to manage your diet once you have that much control over your diet, and you can. Makes eating right normally a lot easier as well. So you haven't heard much about the ketosis?
Don't forget to like, subscribe, share, and comment. I want to thank all you beautiful fitness freaks, geeks, and athletes for going to www.unionofmuscle.com and clicking on the Patrons tab. There, you are able to sign up as a patron. As a patron, you get access to commercial-free episodes of the Union of Muscle podcast. Additionally, you get additional ways to earn fit coins. You're assigned a Union of Muscles coach who's going to help you stay accountable to your own personal fitness goals. If you haven't signed up as a patron to the podcast and to the Union of Muscle, go ahead and do so now. Just head over to www.unionofmuscle.com and click on the Patrons tab. And remember to lift strong and prosper. Summer is almost here. Do you want to get fit for the summer? Do you want to get beach ready, trim, fit, and feeling good? Our newest coach, Coach Jamie, is running a Summer's Almost Here special to help get you into the shape you want for the warm summer days. Go to www.unionofmuscle.com and click on the Fitness Coaches tab. There you can find Coach Jamie and his summer special. With Coach Jamie and the Union of Muscle, you can lift strong and prosper. You're listening to the Union of Muscle podcast, where muscle meets information and inspiration.
So you haven't heard much about the ketosis, about fat burning and things like that yet?
I've heard little tidbits and things like that, but you went into some serious detail there. I didn't know much of that, but that's pretty interesting, and I definitely try that next year for sure. Well, next off season, because I don't have too much longer before I go back to school.
Yeah.
So I'm just gonna keep doing what I have been doing, and then, but yeah, I'll definitely give that a try.
Yeah, no, that does give you a good amount of time to really prepare yourself right. And I think that's another thing, is that people are all excited about intermittent fasting because it works so well, but they have to do it right if it's going to be beneficial to them and it's not going to become something that turns into an eating disorder. Because I've heard a lot of people, they like to talk about detox and they like to talk about intermittent fasting, but it just turns out that they're drinking like one thing of juice a day and trying to live off of that. And they combine intermittent fasting with a detox, and yeah, they're going to drop weight pretty quick, but it's not a healthy way to do it, and you're probably not going to maintain it. So I'd be aware of some of those keywords out there. I know there's a lot of people who love the idea of detox, and that you're going to take the toxins out of their body and things like that. All you really have to do is eat right, eat healthy, and you'll burn. All those toxins will come out next time you go to the bathroom. Don't worry. Drink your water. If your urine isn't clear, you just drink more water. You're gonna get those toxins out of you. And go to the gym. Get intense. Get sweaty. Those toxins will come out. You don't have to starve yourself into being lethargic in order to get those toxins out of you. Just go to the gym. Drink lots of water. You're gonna be fine. But I guess maybe it's easier. Maybe it's easier just to not eat and to not work out. But Shawn, can you be an athlete that way?
I don't think you can.
No. If you want functionality, if you want to be able to take care of everything that you need to in life, have the energy, have the vitality to be able to do it, you need to lift right. You need to lift with intensity. You need to eat right. How do you know when you're lifting with intensity, and how do you remind yourself to do that if you find that you're not?
Well, when I go to the gym, if you're not pouring sweat and you're not breathing hard and you're not already feeling some type of, I told you the other day when I told you the gym, I did this, I googled this Arnold arm workout.
Yeah.
And halfway, I don't even think I was halfway through yet. I was already feeling sore because I was hitting it that hard. I was, that mind-muscle connection. I was trying to get that. I want to be that intense to the point where you're sore before you even finish it. That's how intense I think you have to be if you really, really want it. That's for me anyway. That's how I know.
That's awesome. I like it. You need some clear signals to yourself to help you realize when you're being intense and when you're not being intense. For me, that's also one of my signals, is that after a set, of repetitions of whatever exercise, am I breathing heavy? Am I breathing heavy and am I struggling? Am I struggling through those last reps? And can I push one more rep? That's what I asked myself. Could I have pushed one more rep even if I was struggling? And so if I'm not doing those things, I try to do those things. I try to work intense enough to where either I need to up the weight or up the reps, but I really need to be focused on, and then I ask myself too if I'm squeezing the muscle, but that has more to do with technique than it has to do with intensity, is whether or not you're squeezing the muscle. But man, I'm so glad that you're interested in intensity in your workout, because I like to be intense in my workouts. And the more people we have on board with being intense with the workouts, the more inspired we get to be intense. Because that's what happens to me, and I know I've had people comment that that's what happens to them when they see me being intense. When they see me being intense in the gym, they're like, man, I want to get that intense. I want to feel, because there's almost this primal excitement about being able to put that much effort and that much force into something. And it's actually really rewarding. Whether or not you actually get through that last rep, whether or not you can make it, there's this chemical, biological type reward, a feeling of accomplishment that you get when you get that intense. And people know it. People know it, people see it, people want it, and those that do it are the ones that get it.
I agree.
What's the plan for you going forward?
I guess just continue to hit it as hard, even harder if I have to. I don't know, this is the problem that I face at all times, and I'm sure you can relate. Yeah, I just always, when I look in the mirror, even when I see, noticeable gains that I've made and, my shoulders or my arms or, new veins that are appearing, I never feel like I'm big enough, I never feel like I'm never satisfied. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I don't know if that's a bad thing, because you're doing it in a healthy way. If you were like, I'm never satisfied with myself, and you're getting depressed, and you're starting to mutilate yourself and things like that, and getting down on yourself about it, if you're getting depressed over it, that's when you got to worry about it. If your body image is getting you depressed and getting you to do negative things to yourself, then that's when you got to worry about it. Other than that, I think that's just a positive part of human nature. That we want to be more than what we are, that we want to grow, that we want to change, that we want to advance. We would never have gotten to the moon. Columbus wouldn't have sailed to try to get to India, with a new route. If people don't have this desire to want to improve, no matter what it is, maybe it's their physique, maybe it's their career, maybe it's, I don't know, but if you don't have that desire to improve, we'd probably go backwards as a species. We wouldn't have all the, people would be living still to their 30 instead of until their, 80s and 90s. And we have these things in life that drive us forward, that make our species more than just hairless apes. Don't mean to offend anybody, or whatever your ethos is. So that's part of what separates us from the animals, so to speak, is this desire to want to improve consistently. So I think it's a good thing, Shawn. I think it's a good thing that you might not feel like you're always where you want to be. But you can probably tell, right, that you have more muscle than when you started.
Yeah, definitely.
You probably feel good about who you are in relation to people who, haven't put that time in. You can swagger your shoulders a little bit better, than they can. So, I mean, but I think that is healthy. I think that's healthy. As long as it doesn't become depressive, you're not depressed at yourself, you're not mad at yourself, it's natural. It's an okay thing to want to be better. If it was someone who said, I just want to get better at math, I'm mad that I'm not better at math, I'm going to study harder at math. Nobody's going to be like, oh man, you've got math dysmorphia. There's a problem that you don't think you're good enough at math. No, the guy recognizes his weaknesses and wants to improve. The girl recognizes where she could be better and she wants to improve. That can be okay. It's only bad if the little kid's like, I'm bad at math, I'm never going to be good at math, I suck. That's unhealthy. But if we let the things that we're not good at help us improve, or the things we could get better at, improve at, I think it's absolutely a healthy thing. So, I do the same thing. I look in the mirror and I say, you know what? I'm not big enough here. I'm not big enough there. But I do take a moment to go, wow, I'm looking pretty good overall. Look at that. Look at them glutes. I used to be told I didn't have any butt. Now look at these glutes. So that's what happens when you grow up in a house full of girls. They don't get on you for your broad shoulders. They get on you because you got no butt.
That sounds about right.
Yeah. So I think that's fine. But career-wise, what are you thinking career-wise?
To be honest, right now, I don't know. I just know that whatever I do, I want to be financially stable, and I don't ever want to have to live paycheck to paycheck or have my family or myself worrying how I'm going to get where I need to get the next day, or how I'm going to eat, or where I'm going to eat, or if I'm going to eat at all. I'm double majoring in business management and sports management, so with sports it's a little more specific in one discipline or job field, and then with the business management you can kind of get your foot in the door almost anywhere. But right now at this point in time, I don't exactly know exactly what I want to do, but I know that whatever it is, I want to be financially stable, and I don't ever want to have to worry about what I said earlier.
If you can set up early that way, the market's changing out there, so it's really hard to know exactly what's going to be available to you once you hit the job market. I do recommend that people get as much schooling as they can, so to speak, or degrees as they can. So if you are out there going to school and you're in college, try to get those grades. I made the mistake of doing a very hard undergraduate program, which meant my grades weren't stellar, which made it harder for me to get into a good grad school. And while those things shouldn't matter, but in reality they do. They do matter. Grades can matter when it comes to getting into a good grad school and things like that, and it's going to be a lot harder to let your education help you out without graduate degree. If you're relying on your education to get you the job, most likely you need to start looking at graduate programs. If, on the other hand, you can kind of do a dual thing where you have a trade, if you specialize in a trade, I've got an uncle who does plumbing, and they do really well. He's always got work. There's no shortage of people who right now who need people who know plumbing, people who know air conditioning and heating, electrical. Those things there's not really a shortage of. There's not a shortage of in the medical community either. But you have to kind of want those things. If you don't want those things, you really need to look at a dual thing where you've got one thing that the market currently demands that you know you're solid, and then the thing maybe that you would like to do a bit more and develop that. But it's hard out there. It's hard out there right now. But you're in a good place. You're in a good place, and you're developing your mind, you're developing your body, and have some fun. Have some fun while you're doing it, because you never know what tomorrow brings. And if you can learn how to live happy right now, no matter what situation you're in, that's going to be very important. That emotional stability, which I think comes in the gym, is what can help you when times are tough. Because times are going to be tough. Even if you have food on the table, even if you have a roof overhead, there's always going to be something that's difficult. But, Shawn, I think you're on the right track, man. I think you're on the right track. I think you're doing yourself and your future family a great benefit because you're dedicated to fitness, because you're dedicated to lifting strong. Shawn, if people want to follow your success or have any questions for you, what's the best way for them to follow you or to get in touch with you?
I'd probably just say shoot me a text or hit me up on Facebook, I guess.
All right. Do you have any parting tips for our budding athletes out there?
Whatever anybody tells you, whether it's negative or positive, do what you want to do. If there's a dream that you want to reach, don't let anybody else tell you that you can't do it. Prove them wrong. And even if it is just to prove them wrong and you're done with it after that, do it. That's all I'm going to say.
Awesome. Shawn, I do appreciate you coming on the podcast today. And for all you fitness freaks, geeks, and athletes out there, remember to lift strong, and prosper.
You're listening to the Union of Muscle podcast, where muscle meets information and inspiration. I want to thank all you beautiful fitness freaks, geeks, and athletes for going to www.unionofmuscle.com and clicking on the Patrons tab. There, you are able to sign up as a patron. As a patron, you get access to commercial-free episodes of the Union of Muscle podcast. Additionally, you get additional ways to earn fit coins. You're assigned a Union of Muscles coach who's going to help you stay accountable to your own personal fitness goals. If you haven't signed up as a patron to the podcast and to the Union of Muscle, go ahead and do so now. Just head over to www.unionofmuscle.com and click on the Patrons tab. And remember to lift strong and prosper. Hey, all you beautiful fitness freaks, geeks, and athletes. I just want to give you a quick heads up. I am going to be making a guest appearance on another podcast, Robot Overlords. That's Overlords with a Z at the end and not an S. You can find them on iTunes or at robotoverlords with a Z.fm. Don't forget to use your promo code MUSCLE1 at www.earthskinbodycare.com, www.rubberarmmusclerub.com, and now www.ewcmma.net. Would you like to lose 10, 20, 50, or 60 pounds and still eat those carbohydrates? Coach Bob LeMaine, the carb-loading king, can get you trim, fit, and full of muscle while still eating those carbohydrates. So go to www.unionofmuscle.com and click on the Fitness Coaches tab and find Coach Bob LeMaine. And remember to lift strong and prosper. Summer is almost here. Do you want to get fit for the summer? Do you want to get beach ready, trim, fit, and feeling good? Our newest coach, Coach Jamie, is running a Summer's Almost Here special to help get you into the shape you want for the warm summer days. Go to www.unionofmuscle.com and click on the Fitness Coaches tab. There you can find Coach Jamie and his summer special. With Coach Jamie and the Union of Muscle, you can lift strong and prosper. Don't forget to like, subscribe, share, and comment. You've been listening to the Union of Muscle podcast. All rights are reserved by the content's creators.